Would you like to learn how to make the most delicious air-fried pernil or roasted pork just like this? You would? Good, because in this episode of the Lisa D's Delight Show, I'm going to show you how to do it.
Lisa D Delight.
Let us begin by separating the fat cap from the meat, using a sharp knife and cutting it away just like so. When doing this step, be careful not to puncture the skin, because then it'll be all ugly. Kinda like my ex-husband's new wife. The ingredient list and measurements and such will be in the description box below. For this recipe, I recommend getting a bone-in, skin-on picnic shoulder pork roast. But if you can't find that, then you can settle and get a bone-in, skin-on pork butt. You also want to make sure that you get one that's small enough that it can actually fit in your air fryer basket. Please forgive me for the poor visuals. I'm not at home. When I made this video, I was actually at my mom's house, so I was a little bit discombobulated. Before this step, I washed the pork roast with cool water and vinegar. Wash your meats, baby. And after cleaning it, I added more vinegar all over it because that helps the meat to tenderize a little more. So I cut the skin back, but don't remove the skin totally from the meat. We just want to peel it back so that we can cut holes like I'm doing now, and we can season the meat thoroughly. I like to season my pernil with Sofrito. I'll put my Sofrito recipe above. Some people call it green seasoning, but it's basically a blend of lots of garlic, onions, scallions, cilantro, multicolored bell peppers, and tomatoes, and olive oil. And then I like to enhance my Sofrito by adding adobo, sazon, garlic powder, onion powder, oregano, cracked black pepper, olive oil, cumin, fresh orange juice, and fresh lime juice. I mix it all together until I get a paste-like consistency. And then I add that paste to the Sofrito, and that's what I use to season the pernil. You want to be sure to rub the seasoning on all sides of the pernil, even the bottom. For best results, I recommend letting the pork marinate in the fridge for 2 days. But if you don't have that type of time, at least let it marinate for 1 day. Before letting it marinate, wrap it really well with aluminum foil and try to wrap it really tightly. We're trying to trap all the seasonings inside so that it has nowhere to go and the seasonings will just penetrate into the meat. I let mine marinate for 2 days.
Many hours later.
Preheat your air fryer to 300 degrees. In case your pork roast is too big and you need to cook it in the oven, here is my recipe on how to do so. You're welcome. Place the pork roast into the air fryer basket, still wrapped with the aluminum foil on. Oh, I forgot to mention, let it sit on the counter for about an hour so it can get to room temperature before you start to cook it. We're gonna air fry it at 300 degrees for 2 hours. The first hour covered with the foil and then the second hour without foil. But the time will vary depending on the size of your roast. Mine is 3 pounds, but a good rule of thumb is you need to air fry it for about 35 minutes per pound. So after 1 hour, this is what she's looking like. Now you wanna spray your air fryer basket and also spray the pernil. I sprayed it with an olive oil cooking spray. I forgot to mention earlier when you're making the seasoning paste that this pernil needs a lot of salt. Because it's such a large piece of meat, it needs a lot of salt. And I use adobo as my salt because it's more flavorful. All the salt will render out and distribute evenly throughout the meat. And your end product will be a nice flavorful pernil. It won't be too salty. Now she's going back in for another hour. After that last hour, I wanted to crisp up the skin and brown it, so I pumped up the heat to 375. I sprayed it with oil again and added a little sea salt to the skin to help it get crispy. And I air fried it for 25 more minutes. But it's best to use a food thermometer. You know that it's done when it reaches an internal temperature of 190 to 195 degrees. Once done, it should look something like this.
Lisa D Delight.
Yes, God. Isn't she pretty? And she was so tasty too. Nice and tender and flavorful. Air frying pernil might be my new favorite way because it was so much quicker. Just quick, easy, and delicious. But before you cut into it, you want to let it rest for about 30 minutes. If you cut it when it's still hot, all the juices will come out. So that's why you want to let it rest so that the juices can distribute evenly throughout the meat. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the recipe. After all, I was just trying to help your palate. God bless you. Bye.
Make sure you like and subscribe and you make it so good. Make sure you like and subscribe.